Look, I want to just bring up the image of al-Shara and the head of the SDF, both in civilian uniform, signing this deal. Just explain to our viewers the significance of what we are seeing here.
It is a pretty extraordinary moment, to be honest. Here are two men who only a few months ago were in a way pitted against each other. And because both of them also need to consolidate their authority, both want to avoid a full-fledged war that they know they cannot wage or win, they've decided, because of regional pressure, they've decided that it was better to reach this accommodation. It's important also because it recognizes the political and cultural rights of the Kurdish minority, which has feared ever since the beginning of the uprising, but even before that, during the long rule of the Assad family, that it was ostracized and pushed away from the key elements of Syrian public life. So the fact that they came together to sign this agreement is a ray of hope in an otherwise troubled landscape.
Some questions still remain about the SDF deal. For example, what will happen to other Kurdish groups? Is it clear?
No, not everything has been ironed out, but other groups have not necessarily aligned with the SDF throughout the fight. There were small Kurdish groups that actually aligned with Syrian Sunni rebels. The SDF, or at least the Kurdish component of the SDF, is a controversial force in part of northeast Syria because of the way it has ruled, because of a hegemonic or quasi-hegemonic way of doing things. But that said, it was the biggest challenge to Ahmed al-Shara's authority, because the SDF controls a large size of Syrian territory, but also importantly resources and part of the border with Turkey. So one cannot understate the importance of that particular deal.
Right. Ahmed al-Shara saying the deal was to ensure the rights of all Syrians represented and participating in the political process. Of course, this comes against the backdrop of a horrific weekend, primarily for the Alawite community in the West. And there is, clear concern about just how supportive the interim president is of all communities. With regard to those recent killings in the Alawite community, we now know that 4 men have been arrested so far. What of the international community here? Should it get involved while Syria's government is in a political transition? We are hearing sort of quite a lot of talk outside, but where do you see, the international community, including Syria's neighbours? What do you see as their involvement at this point?
Ahmed al-Shara has said a lot of the right things since he emerged on the forefront in December of last year. For a former or jihadi, still an Islamist leader, that was quite a leap. That doesn't mean that he necessarily controls all the elements of that broad coalition that came together to unseat Assad. It doesn't mean that he has the accountability mechanisms to make sure that these massacres will not happen, not just at the hands of his own troops, but also at the hands of others. There's plenty of desire for revenge and vengeance in Syria. And the fact that Ahmed al-Shara seemed to have put accountability for the crime of the former regime on the side has been a sore for a lot of his own followers. And so the moment I think the remnants of the Assad regime mounted that operation, some of these groups saw an opportunity to do so. And it's an immensely embarrassing moment for Ahmed al-Sharia, because he has been, cautiously welcomed by Syria's neighbors, but also by others, including in the West. But they were clear that the test was an inclusive government.